Carolina next week looms large. But there is money to be made on this one tonight. That's why we've got Sportsline's Todd Fuhrman and Emory Hunt along with us on this Christmas Day. You guys saw the stats. You know the trends. Bucs and Brady on a terrible run against the spread, specifically in prime time. Tampa's favored by 7.5 in this one. Todd, you playing the favorite or the trend?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the Bucs and how bad they've been at the betting window. They're the exact opposite of what we've seen from the Cincinnati Bengals of late. And whether it's being forced to pay the Brady tax or working under the assumption that they're going to wave a magic wand and suddenly remind us that they're legitimate threats in the NFC, none has come to pass. But when you look at the opponent that they're facing today, I think it's so important for Tampa to get out to a quick start and squash any upset aspirations that the Arizona Cardinals have while they play out the final string of 3 games. You look at Tampa, and this number has kind of taken off. They opened as a 3-point favorite. Number has ballooned out to the current at -7.5. Of course, trying to figure out exactly what the drop-off was from Colt McCoy to Trace McSorley. And anyone who watched that second half of Trace McSorley attempting to throw a forward pass, well, they're in for a long evening tonight. I think the Cardinals have to run the football, and that's the one strength that this Bucs defense can bring to the table. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tampa should have an ample advantage throwing the football against this Arizona secondary. We know that the Achilles heel for the Cardinals has been the tight end, and that's typically Tom Brady's most reliable option. So I expect a big game for Cade Otton and Cam Brate in the middle of the field, but I think Tampa gets out to a quick start. They take a lead into the half of a touchdown or more. I'll lay 4.5 over the first 30 minutes.
I'm going to lay the 7.5 for the whole game, Todd. I just like this matchup for Tampa Bay. You talk about their strength, being able to apply pressure, young quarterback making his first start, that's a check. You talk about the secondary. They have the ability to really force you as a quarterback to make consistently tight window throws. That's going to be tough for a young quarterback making his first start, check. And on the opposite side, we know they're going to be facing a tired defense because I don't expect this Cardinals offense to really sustain drives. So now that defense, which has some talent individually at all 3 levels, we'll start to get tired as the game goes on. I'm laying all of these points with the Bucs tonight.
All right, the total on this one's 41. Cardinals have a first-time starter at the helm, Trace McSorley. The Bucs have one of the worst scoring offenses in the league, even though they got one of the greatest of all time leading the way. What's your play on the total, Emory?
The Bucs could win this game 8-0, and we cash not only the total, but also the spread. So I don't think Arizona's going to get into the end zone or get much points against this Bucs defense. Again, you have 2 things that are the kryptonite to a young quarterback making his first start: pressure and tight coverage on the outside. He's going to be afraid to make the throw because he doesn't want to make the mistake. So I like the Bucs to go under. It's going to be all about the Bucs offense and whether or not they can stop scoring. At some point, they'll pull the reins back, and I'll get into that prop later. But I do like the fact that we can kind of bank on the Cardinals not getting much against this aggressive style, attack style defense of Tampa Bay.
Here we were talking about the worst game of the day, potentially on paper, being the Broncos and Rams, where offense was going to be at a premium. And Emory comes in with the haymaker saying that the Arizona Cardinals are going to lose this game 8-0. So I guess we can all spend our Christmas night doing a variety of other things, putting together presents, because it won't be watching Arizona's offense move the football up and down the field. I'm not quite as bullish on the game being that low scoring, but I do agree with Emory's assessment on the under. I know this total is leaked up from 40.5 out to 41, but I think it's all about the Bucs and when they decide to take their foot off the accelerator. This has all the makings of a get-right game for a Tampa offense that's operated in fits and spurts. And we saw it on full display last week. In the first half, they looked outstanding against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they still have been plagued by red zone woes. And until you're able to consistently get 7 when you're inside the opponent's 20 and threes are on the table, it's tough to go over a total like this. I just don't see a path for Arizona doing more than scoring 13 to 14 points in this spot. I think Tampa, they build a lead and they can coast to the finish. I'm right there with Emory going under the total.
Emory's looking for an alternate total of 10, and he's going to go under that one too. Let's get some player props in this one. Start with the visitors. What's your best player prop for the Bucs, Todd?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one, Ross, trying to figure out which Bucs receiver I really wanted to focus on, whether it was Mike Evans going over his 57.5 or Chris Godwin over his total pegged in the mid-60s, and ultimately settled on Godwin. I think when you look at this Arizona defense, they can be exploited in the middle of the field. And while typically tight ends have had an absolute field day against them, I think Godwin can bring some of those same traits to pass. And when you look at the way that Tom Brady has leaned on basically his security blanket, this is a guy that moves the sticks. This is a guy that gets targeted 10 to 12 times a game when things are going well for Tampa. And while he may not have that big play in his arsenal, being able to pick up 20 to 25 yards a pop, I do think he can be a high volume receiver in this spot. If he's averaging 10 to 12 yards per catch, he finishes the game with 6 catches. I don't have to be a math wizard to figure out that that puts me comfortably over the total. I'll take Godwin over his number in the mid-60s.
Because I feel like the Bucs will be in 4-minute offense by the middle of the third quarter, I'm going to go Leonard Fournette over 10.5 rush attempts. That screams, hey, let's just get out of here healthy, get ready for the stretch run to try to win the NFC South. I think this is going to be the play. They're going to be up big and then try to salt the game away in the second half. And that screams, turn around, hand the ball off to the best back in 4-minute offense, in my opinion, in Leonard Fournette.
All right, final thing here. Let's finish it up with a Cardinals player prop. Emory, you got this.
Listen, I like Trace McSorley. I liked him in Baltimore because I felt like the way he plays fits their style. I didn't understand the fit here in Arizona. They want to air it out. That's not where he's strongest. He's strong when he can get out on the move, create plays with his leg. That screams Baltimore. So I said I'd like to say this. He won't throw a touchdown in this game, so take the under on that prop. 0.5 touchdown passes. He's going to go under that number today against this Tampa defense.
And you know what, Emory? I'm kind of working with you against Trace McSorley here. I'm going to take his passing yardage number under 193.5. Accuracy, a major concern for what McSorley brings to the table. And that was apparent in his senior season going all the way back to Penn State when he completed shade under 54% of his passes at the college level. Cliff Kingsbury showed a lot of confidence in letting Colt McCoy lead a short, controlled passing game. I don't think that's going to be the case here with Trace McSorley having a full week to adopt a game plan where they can lean on his legs, they can get James Conner involved. And for any fan that decided to commit to watching 4 full quarters of the Jets and Jaguars on Thursday night, they saw the Jets pull Zach Wilson and go to Chris Streveler. You thought that throwing motion was awkward and left a lot to be desired. You're in for a full treat when you get 4 quarters of Trace McSorley tonight. I'm taking him under 193.5 passing yards.
All right, let's get a quick recap of the picks for this NFL nightcap. Both guys taking the Bucs against the spread. Todd with a first half, giving 4.5. Emory for the game at 7.5. Both guys like the under when it comes to player props. Both Todd and Emory are looking at Trace McSorley, giving him a whole bunch of coal for Christmas, making his first NFL start. Not favorably on that under for McSorley. No.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.